Before the billion, there was an apartment, $640 a month. A radiator that only worked when it wanted to. A mattress on the floor because a bed frame felt like a luxury you hadn't earned yet. You worked 16 hours a day for 7 years. Not because you were passionate, because you were afraid. Fear is a better fuel than passionate. It doesn't run out. You missed your best friend's wedding. You missed your mother's surgery. You told yourself, when this works, I'll make it right. That is the deal. Every person who builds something makes with the people who love them. Most never fully repay it. Year 3, the company almost died. Payroll was due on Friday. You had enough for 11 of your 14 employees. You sat in your car in the parking lot for 40 minutes. Then you went back inside and told no one. You took a salary of $1 for 2 years, not for the optics, because the money wasn't there. You ate the same $4 meal from the same place every night for 8 months. You still know exactly what it tasted like. Year 5, first real revenue. First month, you paid yourself an actual salary, $4,200. You remember the exact number. You always will. The first dollar that felt like yours, you remember it more clearly than the billion. Year 6, an investor offers to buy the company. Enough money to never worry again. You say no. Everyone around you thinks you're insane. You don't know if they're wrong. You just know you're not done yet. That feeling, not done yet, is either genius or delusion. Usually both. Year 7, the product works. Not perfectly, but undeniably. You watch the first person use it who isn't an employee, isn't an investor, isn't a favor, a stranger. Using something you built from nothing. That moment is the real billion. Everything after is just the accounting. The company goes public. You ring the bell. You are wearing a suit that costs more than 3 months of your old rent. You smile for 47 photographs. You feel nothing except the urge to go back to the office and keep working. The number crosses $1 billion on a Tuesday afternoon at 2:34 p.m. You are in a meeting about supply chain logistics. Someone passes you a note with the number on it. You nod. You finish the meeting. You do not tell anyone in the room. That is the most honest thing about this story. You wake up the next morning, same body, same thoughts, same slight anxiety about the day ahead. The billion did not arrive in your chest. It arrived in a spreadsheet. These are not the same thing. The calls start at 7 a.m., people you haven't spoken to in years, a cousin you met once at a funeral, a classmate who never liked you, a charity you've never heard of. All of them have your number now. You don't know how. You hire a person whose entire job is to answer your phone. Not an assistant, a screener. Their job is to decide who gets to reach you. You feel guilty about this for approximately 2 weeks. Then you feel grateful. Then you stop feeling anything about it because it becomes normal. That trajectory is important to understand. You buy the house, not the house you dreamed of as a child. A different one, bigger, better, more impressive to people whose opinion you're still deciding whether to care about. You stand in the empty living room on the first night. It echoes. The car, the watch, the flight. First time on a private jet, you spend the entire flight waiting to feel different. You land. You don't feel different. You feel like yourself in a nicer seat. The luxury industrial complex sells you the feeling. What it delivers is the object. You go back to the restaurant you couldn't afford for 6 years. You order everything on the menu, not because you're hungry, because you can. It tastes exactly the same as it did the one time you went for a special occasion and checked the prices before ordering. Maybe slightly worse. 3 months in, you realize something nobody told you. The billion doesn't solve the problem you thought it would solve. Because the problem you thought was about money wasn't about money. It was about something else. And now you have to figure out what that something else is with $1 billion and no excuse left. You call your oldest friend, the one who knew you when you were nobody. You want to tell them how you feel. You get 3 sentences in, then they ask if you can lend them money. It is the last time you call them without wondering. That loss sits differently than any other. Money at this level doesn't feel like money anymore. It feels like a score in a game you can't stop playing. The number goes up, you want it to go up more. Not because you need more, you couldn't spend what you have in 10 lifetimes. Because up is the only direction the game allows. You have a team of 12 people managing your money. You understand approximately 40% of what they do. You sign things you've had explained to you 3 times and still half understand. The financial complexity of extreme wealth is its own full-time job that you are not qualified for. You pay more in taxes in 1 year than most people earn in 1,000 lifetimes. You also have 11 people whose entire job is to legally minimize that number. You feel two things about this simultaneously and you never fully resolve them. You buy a piece of art for $4.2 million. Not because you love it, because your advisor said it was a good store of value. It goes on a wall in a room you enter 4 times a year. The art has never been looked at by anyone who loves it. That bothers you more than the price did. You give $50 million to charity. It is the most meaningful thing you've done with money. It's also 5% of your net worth, which means it costs you less proportionally than the $4 meal you ate every night for 8 months. You sit with that math for a long time. Someone on the internet says you should give everything away. You think about this more than you let on. Not because you agree, but because you can't find the argument against it that fully satisfies you. That gap in your own reasoning keeps you up at 3 a.m. more than any business problem ever did. Your net worth goes down $200 million in 1 quarter. On paper, nothing in your life changes. You still have the house, the jet, the team, the food. But you feel it, like a physical thing. $200 million you never had in a way that touched your life gone. And it stings. That tells you something about yourself you don't entirely like. You meet another billionaire at a conference. Within 6 minutes, the conversation becomes about whose number is bigger. Not explicitly, but that's what it is. You leave the conversation feeling competitive about a number that already makes you richer than 99.9% of humanity. The game has its own gravity. It pulls everyone in. You spend $3 million building a school in a country you've never visited. You receive photographs, children learning, a teacher who earns $200 a month, who now has a proper classroom. That photograph does more for you than every private jet flight combined. You don't fully understand why you don't just do more of this. That's the most honest thing in this video. The fundamental truth of money at this level, it removes the external problems and reveals the internal ones. Every anxiety you had before, the billion you still have. Cleaner, quieter, but the first thing you notice, people finish your sentences differently now. Before they'd correct you, challenge you, disagree. Now they find the way to agree with wherever the sentence is going. That change is subtle at first, then it is everywhere. Then it is all you can see. Your opinions become facts in rooms you enter. You say, I think the market might shift east, and 3 people write it down. You make a half joke about a competitor, and someone in the room takes notes on it. You are no longer allowed to think out loud. Every word is treated as signal. You hire a new executive, brilliant, exactly what the company needs. In their first week, they push back on you twice. You feel defensive both times. Then you realize, this is what honesty feels like. You'd forgotten. You give them a raise after month 1. Old employees who knew you before the billion treat you the same. You pay them slightly more than market rate. Not out of generosity, out of necessity. They're the only people in the building who will tell you when you're wrong. That information is worth more than their salary. A journalist writes a profile about you. They get 17 facts wrong. 3 of them are about who you were before the money, your actual history. You want to correct it. Your PR team tells you not to. The profile performs well. You let it stand. A version of you that isn't you goes into the record. People start asking you about things you know nothing about. Your opinion on foreign policy, on medicine, on education, on philosophy. Because you made $1 billion in logistics software and somehow that transfers, you learn very quickly to say, I don't know. Most billionaires don't learn this fast enough. Your children go to school with other children of billionaires. This was not the plan. But the security requirement made the alternative impossible. They are growing up in a world of normalized extreme privilege. You watch this happen. You try to counteract it. You are not sure you're succeeding. You go on a date. Before the billion, this was simple. Now, did they look you up before? Do they know the number? Are they here for what they know or who they don't? You cannot unknow what you're worth, and neither can they. That asymmetry lives in every new relationship from this point forward. You discover who your real friends are. There are 3 of them. You had 12 before the billion. 9 left not dramatically, not with a fight. Just quietly, over time, as the gap between your lives grew too wide for ordinary maintenance. You missed the 9 more than you expected to. The most disorienting thing about extreme wealth is not the money, It is the mirror problem. Every room you enter has been arranged to reflect back a version of you that the room needs you to be. You stop knowing which reflection is real. The people who knew you before the billion are the only mirrors left that show the original. Security. You have a team of 8. They sweep your home weekly. Your car has a tracker, a panic button, and a separate communications system. You are told about threats against you that you are not given full details of. For your peace of mind. The phrase does the opposite of what it claims. You stop going to certain places. Not because you don't want to, because the logistics of security make spontaneity impossible. You cannot walk into a restaurant on a whim. Every public appearance is a planned operation. The freedom that money was supposed to buy is partially what it took. Someone you trusted leaks internal information to the press. You narrow it down to 4 possible people. You can't be certain which one. You look at all 4 differently from that day forward. One of them is innocent. You know this. You can't stop doing it anyway. Nobody tells you that the billion creates a finish line problem. Your whole life, the goal was clear. Build this, reach that, get here, then you get here. And there is no finish line. There is just more game. And the game has no end condition. That absence of a destination is the most disorienting thing about arriving. The body keeps score. 7 years of 16-hour days. The stress of payroll Fridays, the cortisol of the near miss and the actual miss. You have the money to see the best doctors. They tell you things your body remembers that your memory has already processed and filed away. The bill for the build arrives late. Purpose, the most expensive thing money can't buy and can't replace. When you were building, purpose was automatic survival, growth, proof. Now you have to construct it deliberately. Like building a second company, except the product is your own meaning. Most billionaires are not good at this. The ones who are, you can tell immediately. Legacy. You think about it more than you expected to. Not your Wikipedia page, something quieter. Whether the things you built made the world slightly better or slightly worse. Whether the people who worked for you are better for having done so. Whether you were worth knowing. The billion is the least interesting part of that question. The thing about extreme wealth that is genuinely, unambiguously good. Optionality. The ability to say no. To leave. To try something different. To take the risks that would have destroyed you before. That freedom, real freedom, not the private jet version, is worth something that doesn't fit on a net worth statement. It is the only part of the billion that is exactly as good as you imagined. And the thing that is unambiguously, honestly bad, the distance. From ordinary life, from ordinary problems, from the texture of struggle that makes ordinary victories meaningful. You can buy your way out of almost every difficulty. And in doing so, you also buy your way out of the growth that difficulty produces. That is not a small loss. Here is what $1 billion actually is. It is proof that you solved the problem that enough people had. That's it. That is the complete definition. It says nothing about your character, nothing about your wisdom, nothing about your happiness, nothing about whether you deserve it. It is a receipt for a problem solved at scale. The people who handle extreme wealth best are the ones who understood this before they had it. They treated the money as a tool while they were building it. They keep treating it as a tool after. The ones who made it their identity, you can see it in how they talk about it. Every sentence about the number. Very few about what the number is doing. If you are watching this and you want the billion, good. Want it. The wanting is not the problem. The problem is what you think the billion is. It is not safety. You will find new fears at every level. It is not happiness. That infrastructure you have to build yourself at any net worth. It is not proof that you matter. You already matter before the first dollar. What the billion actually gives you: time, options, the ability to compound your impact, the freedom to be wrong and survive it. Those things are genuinely valuable. Those things are worth working toward. But they work only if you were already building the other infrastructure, the relationships, the identity, the purpose, before the number arrived. The number doesn't build that for you. It just removes the excuse not to. 10 years after the billion. You wake up at 6:47 a.m., same time as always, not set by anyone else. You make your own coffee. You sit for a minute before the machine starts. You have learned slowly, expensively, with considerable mistakes, to sit in that minute and actually be in it. That is the most valuable thing the decade taught you. It cost approximately $1 billion to learn it. Here is everything. The billion is real. The work to get it is real. The cost is real. The good it can do is real. The loneliness is real. The paranoia is real. The 3 real friends are worth more than everything else combined. The photograph of the school is worth more than the jet. The 2 hours with the 28-year-old is the best investment you've made. And the minute before the day begins, still, quiet, just a person with a cup of coffee. That is not nothing. That might be everything.